ball was buzzing. NBS was buzzing. Transfer also is buzzing as we speak. Have you been hoping that your team, your club will sign, go to the market and do a McHugh signing? For me, I'm checking and I'm still checking. Samis is here. In case you're watching us on Facebook, he's typing, he's pressing his phone, maybe talking to his contact to help him to get updates about who is moving. For Blessing, is somewhere in Lagos. She is somewhere in Lagos. Maybe also using her phone to try kind of find out if anyone is giving her updates about who is moving and who is not moving. But one thing is sure is that over the weekend, maybe I'll say, some will say it's not a big deal, but maybe the scoreline was a big deal. Arsenal against Manchester City, 5-1. Like I said, the result might not be a big deal, but the scoreline for me was a big deal. How about in Italy? Just going around to see the games we spoke about on Friday. It was the Milan derby, and then we saw the game between Roma and Napoli, and then the others that went down. And then for Nottingham Forest, who say to anyone who cares to listen, we're here for a big deal. We're here to want to play some Champions League football. They won by 7-0. So many things. In the NBA also, you heard about the weekend how some players are making a move. And for Israel Adesanya, what else is he looking for? Come on. Maybe give him a chance one more time. The window is open in a few minutes from now. Some windows will be shut, while some will be open till about 12 midnight. Chelsea Football Club trying to push a few players out, not pushing anyone in at the moment. For Manchester City, how lucky is Pep Guardiola? Just a few minutes ago, he has signed one more player from Porto for 60 million euros. It's getting what you got, whatever he points at. If they say, kill this catfish for me, for pepper soup, they will kill it for him. And right there, he will enjoy pepper soup. Okay, just saying that. By the way, Marcus Rashford is leaving Manchester United to join Aston Villa. Someone said he's going down, he's dropping down. Okay, it all depends on how you see it. Remember that the likes of Jadon Sancho also left United to Dortmund, and you saw what happened when they left for Dortmund. So Rashford is also saying maybe that might also work for him. All right, enough of me talking. Blessing, how are you doing this Monday afternoon? Are you good to go?
Very well, I'm fine. Good afternoon to you, Samis, and of course, everyone listening to us, across the world, wherever it is that you are. I mean, it was such an amazing weekend, like you mentioned, lots of, events. And of course, the surprising one for me has to be Arsenal taking Manchester City to the cleaners. I didn't think Arsenal would win that game to begin with. I thought it was going to end in a draw. But I'd say, as much as it is surprising and exciting, that scoreline, how as much surprising as exciting the scoreline was, Arsenal fans shouldn't get too excited, because I feel like that result might be masking what we know is an issue all this while. Arsenal still need a number 9. Forget the fact that different players scored the goal. They were able to, get a comprehensive victory over Manchester City. They need a striker, a number 9. And the window, like you said, shuts in a couple of hours. What are they going to do?
Samis, what can they do? I was also saying this. I also had this thought, Blessing. I said, you hit 5 with different scorers last night against Manchester City. It doesn't mean that I thought we just said all things is well, all things is fine. At a point in time, I was just saying to some Arsenal fans, how I wish you can just lose this game by 3-0, so that Ateta so Ateta can go sign a couple of players. I remember a couple of years ago, Blessing, maybe you remember, and also Samis, they lost to United by 8-2. And what Arsene Wenger did that window or that day,
went and brought in Matasaka
and Mikel Arteta, 6 different players. So I was So I was just saying yesterday that you just lose by 3-0. But Samis is there. The way he looks at me is like something's wrong with you. But Samis, can they do something?
Good afternoon to everyone who has joined us on today's edition of the program. And concerning Arsenal Football Club, I'm very sure Arteta is still worried, tabling the same complaints to those who definitely would finalize the move for a striker and all that. Yes, it is great that Arsenal Football Club won yesterday, just to keep the quest of them in the title race alive. If they were not to be in the title race, then maybe it would have been a game you could have expected them to lose. That was why I looked at you that way, that really, Arsenal in a title race. And if they don't win this sort of games with the challenges ahead of them or in which they have now, people will still label them a failure, because teams are tearing Manchester City apart, and Arsenal are not doing that. That is the criticism Chelsea Football Club are facing presently. But for Arsenal, I think they should actually get that a striker. We know that we still have how many hours? Let's say 7, 8 hours, or maybe more than
More than that.
Before the end of the transfer window there in England. But then Arsenal, if only they can pick up a number 9 in their academy also, it should actually be a good one for them. You look at Lewis Kelly, Ethan Nwaneri, these guys balled out yesterday. But that struggle definitely still continues in number 9. And remember that maybe the most important run of games would come in the month of March for Arsenal Football Club. They'll be playing in the Champions League, right? And they will still want to be in within touching distance. And that's to Liverpool Football Club in a bid to win the English Premier League title.
All right, so you guys just give me a moment, because here we are talking about a striker. One is going from Manchester to Midlands. It's going to play for Aston Villa in Birmingham. Yes, that's where Villa are based. Let's take a listen to Marcus Rashford, blessing, and then when we come back, I've got a question for you and SAMIES.
Excited. It's an ambitious time for this club, and a great opportunity for me to join the team and help them keep pushing forward. So I'm excited, can't wait for the first training session and obviously the first game.
And from the outside looking in, how impressed have you been with the job that Unai Emery has performed here?
Yeah, I think he's a top manager, and what he's done with the club since he's come to Villa is unbelievable, and it's the constant ambition that's attractive, and it's why you want to join such a club. You want to keep improving year on year, and that's what the team's been doing and are doing this year.
Okay, so they have just a bit of that interview he granted to the Aston Villa TV. Blessing, is it going down, or you think this is just best for him at the moment?
Well, for a player who's had the kind of struggles that he's had this season, you could look at this and think of it as some sort of rescue mission. Because at his age, I think he's 27 or 28, you'd expect a lot more from what we've been seeing from Marcus Rashford. I mean, personally, I've been very, very critical of his performances. I expected that by now it would be the face of Manchester United, it would be the one leading the team. So I wouldn't look at it as a step down. Rather, I'll look at it as a rescue mission. Like, you have been given a second chance at life, and you're asked to take your career back into your own hands. That is the opportunity that he's having right there, going to Aston Villa. So, by the way, Aston Villa are playing in the Champions League. So, Manchester United, this isn't a day. They're playing in the Europa League. So, there's a bit of a difference. We are going to look at the team dynamics. Also, consider what Aston Villa are doing at the moment in terms of performance. Are you going to compare that with what Manchester United are doing at the moment? I mean, there's a bit of difference. So, I wouldn't necessarily say, maybe for the fact that he's a Manchester United wonder kid, like he's come to me, is one who's grown through the ranks. So if you look at it from that perspective, you think United are, much more higher than Aston Villa. But I wouldn't look at it to say, he's going a step down. I'll look at it to say, you've been given a second chance. How are you going to take the second chance to write yourself into this good history of football that he has been, and correct whatever errors, whatever mistakes, whatever has been affecting his game all the while. He's got the opportunity to do that with this move to Aston Villa.
SAMIES.
Well, for Marcus Rashford, I look at him and I say, where has his consistency been? I remember then under Louis van Gaal, that was in the early days of his career.
14-15?
Yes, 13-14. I think it was 13-14.
It was 14-15 after the World Cup that Louis van Gaal joined Manchester United.
14-15.
14-14, 15-16.
16.
Yeah.
And then I look at Manchester United. I think he came out of the academy at a time when Manchester United were faced with their issues also.
Yeah.
Goal scoring up front, and then they needed a striker. Then he came from the academy. But then he blew everybody away. That was in his first 2 games. And he actually was consistent for the remainder of that season, being a youngster. But you look at the number of years he has also lived with the football. This man has 143 career goals. A forward. For how long? But then you look at how things have been for Marcus Rashford. I do say it, and I'll say it again. The best season for Marcus Rashford happens to be that World Cup season, the Qatar World Cup season. And I'm not sorry to say that will be the best performance we will see from Marcus Rashford, because he's not going to hit that level again. But going to Aston Villa, what are his chances of that maybe getting into the Lions of England squad, or probably playing and getting game time, in which Ruben Amorim has deprived him of at Manchester United. You look at the setup also at Villa. Well, is he going to play? Yes, maybe he's going to play. But then, is he going to do the run-ins in which the manager, Unai Emery, is going to demand that from him? You talk about Morgan Rogers, you talk about Jacob Ramsey, you talk about McGinn, you talk about Leon Bailey, all of these guys.
Let me also add one. Marcus Asensio also is joining on loan.
Is joining on loan, and there are talks also that Aston Villa still wants to get that João Felix. So all of these are players. You look at it that okay, what would be the chances of Marcus Rashford? But for me, I just wish him the best, and I hope that he can. Maybe hit the ground running with the Williams.
Okay, so this one on Facebook, Okedong Babatunde is saying, please update also updates, any update about Arsenal. So, Blessing, do you have updates? Because for me, I don't have updates. There's nobody flying into North London. If anybody is flying into North London, is Mathieu Thels, the French boy who's joining them from Bayern Munich. He's the only one flying into London, and he's not going to the red part of North London. He's going to Sports. And so, at the moment, I can't see any flight going into the Emirates Stadium. Do you see any, Blessing?
I mean, I was going to ask you if he was a striker. Then maybe we can begin to ask ourselves if he was heading to Arsenal.
He's a striker, but he's not headed to Arsenal Football Club.
I mean, unfortunately, like I said earlier, it doesn't look like Arsenal may be making any move to get anyone through the doors. But then again, football is very, very funny. Except of course, they go back in research for Willie Watkins now that Rashford has made his switch to Aston Villa. So I'll be thinking to myself, if Aston Villa lets Jonathan go, he's left to Saudi Arabia. They brought in, I hear Marco Asensio might also be, if it's not already been unveiled. And then they're still in talks to have João Felix. So if you're having these guys who are attack-minded, I'm wondering, could that mean that they are preparing for the eventuality or the possibility of Oli Watkins making that move to Arsenal? Remember, Arsenal already went there with the bid, which was turned down, and many of them likened it when Arsenal wanted to get this guy from Liverpool.
Luis Suarez.
Added £1. Luis Suarez added £1 on top of 40 million. We started calling him Baba Jebud. So so but for now, there is anything, honestly. It doesn't look like I'm ready to make any transfer business. But again, football could be funny or could be shocked by the end of the day.
So you guys have been talking about João Felix in the last few minutes. It looks like AC Milan are the one putting the bid on the table for Chelsea. So he might just be on his way from London to Milan at the moment. And for me, I think this whole thing about the transfer, we're not really getting there, even though we're getting there, because there's still a few more hours. Sammy, speak to me about Manchester City. How good, I would say, not the word good now, how fortunate is Pep Guardiola? He's going to sign another one again today, if not completed already. The Spanish international, the former Football Club Barcelona midfielder, who is, as we speak right now, playing for Porto, but he looks like he's going to end all of that with Porto. 60 million euros is going to join Pep at Manchester City. This guy is just lucky, man.
Well, lucky. You use that word because I can see a lucky man.
And Lucky Thomas, he's nodding his head,
Before me. But for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, we were having that conversation, or we had that conversation this morning about how broken Manchester City are this season, and from Rodri.
Yes, when you have 3 signings,
no,
and somebody has not even signed one.
No, from the beginning of the season, he never would have expected that this would happen to him, that he's going to miss Rodri for the entirety of a season. Remember, Rodri came from the Euros, that's with a knock, and he told him just to have maybe the preseason off, the first 3 games of the Premier League season, have it off. And then he came back, and it was the game in which he came back, he suffered that injury, so which mad that's the involvement of Rodri. But then the issue I have with Guardiola, you have Mathieu Kovacic, you have Calvin Phillips, who played with you during preseason, but you didn't trust any of these guys. Gundogan came back into the side also, but so you keep maybe those players are not at that level Rodri is. He's the Ballon d'Or winner. But then, for Manchester City, maybe he has seen the issues in his side and he has gone into the winter transfer window to sign a defensive midfielder once again. Nico Gonzalez is his name. Probably it's just the handwriting on the wall that I have to be better, or I have to prepare for the coming season. That's for Manchester City. And getting his hands on Nico Gonzalez. We will see what he can offer, what he can do for the citizens.
I was going to ask you guys, because how much will it take Pep? Because it's not that Rogi left Manchester City. Yes, we know he's going to be out for a few more months before he get back playing football. Hopefully 25-26 football season. But how much is Pep going to spend? There's a Calvin Phillips somewhere with Ipswich, who just signed about £45 million from Leeds. There's Mateo Kovacic. There's Ike Godohan, who returned back to the club. And now you're adding Nico Gonzalez. Don't forget that Matheus Nunes is not a right full back. He's also there. So how many will he sign for him to get a replacement for Rogi, as if Rogi is out of City in the first place?
We've always
Honestly,
called,
Go on.
Yeah, no, go on, Samis.
We've always called him the checkbook manager, and he's probably leaving to that with Manchester City. Also, from the conversation we just had this morning while catching up with the highlights, there are so many players that he started his early reigns, that's with Manchester City, and he is yet to replace all of those players. Leroy Sane, Riyad Mahrez. We'll talk about all of those guys.
Blessing, I thought they say he's genius, is good. So why is it taking him this long to get the perfect fit? You can just imagine if Erling Haaland decided to leave City.
Well, that one's already assigned.
I know he signed a 9.5, but just saying. So why is he struggling to get the replacement for these players?
First of Peter, you talked about him being the genius. Yeah, we all agree that he is. But I think he's done so much to have enough credit in the bank to be allowed to not get some things right at some point, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm trying to say he's not superhuman. Like, he's not a superhero or something. It's very much human. As much as we've known him to be a tactical genius, the way he aligns the team, the way he revolutionized football in terms of his ideologies, in terms of coaching. Yes, he's a superstar, he's a superhero, whatever, but there's still hints in him, quote unquote, like he's human like the rest of his coaches. And I think, like Sammy said, it might be an attempt to gradually overhaul the team, understanding that, yes, perhaps he has an aging squad. When I say aging squad, because I look at the Rodri who's out the rest of the season, and then when he returns from, I get that he's the reigning maybe Ballon d'Or winner and whatnot. But when it comes back from injuries that's long like that, and it's at his age, might be hard to find that consistency yet again. Kevin De Bruyne has been struggling. If we are going to be very sincere with ourselves, I mean, injuries have begun to set in for him. It's been a little bit difficult to hit that height that we've known him to be for a bit. So this could be Guardiola thinking to himself, trying to reshuffle. But it's just so lucky that, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, he's able to point and kill, quote unquote, and point and say, yeah, I need this, bring him, I need that, bring him, and the money is available. Although they are not, the way they are going about theirs is very different from how Chelsea went about theirs, trying to overhaul and that within the space of two transfer windows. So maybe that's what we are seeing. At the end of the day, they will also still make money out of this transfer. If I like to believe so, because there are certain players like this. So I'm going to give an example. Example is a certain Sergio Gomez. Yes, he plays in one of the teams in back.
It's with Real Sociedad now.
One of the teams. Real Sociedad. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
he won the Olympic game football event with Spain.
Exactly. He won a winners medal for the Premier League. But guess what? How many games did he play for Manchester City? Perhaps maybe less than 10. But by the time they were going to let him go, they sold him for a good amount of money, made profit out of him. So there are some players that they will not be able to get profit out of, and there are some others that they will be able to get profit out of at the end of the day.
All right. So when we come on Tuesday, we'll see. But if we have time, we'll come back to some of this. Blessing, were you part of those who are also making your thought known about all the events in the NBA over the weekend?
Absolutely.
What shocked you?
Football and I woke up the morning and I saw the news about Luka Doncic being traded to the Lakers. I mean, that's most shocking for me because I thought LeBron James and Anthony Davis had come to have this sort of agreements, this sort of synergy. Yes, they do. Like it worked for them when they won the championship in 2020. But I wonder what exactly Lakers were trying to get at this point in time, because you are letting go of somebody who is perhaps your best defender. Now that you're bringing Luka Doncic in, it means that you probably have to go and look for another center, because you need somebody who's going to protect the ring, and that's what Doncic is not going to give them. Now, for Mavericks, on the other hand, as well, it's head scratching to me, because I thought to myself, when they were going to get Klay Thompson at the start of the season, you are having Klay Thompson, you have 𝐃𝐈𝐒, and you have a Doncic. The thought is they have a trio that would be able to challenge for the title. They went to the Western Conference Finals
7 months ago.
2 seasons ago, last season.
7 months ago.
Yeah, just last season. Exactly. So there's this feeling that it could be replicated. So you're wondering, how did they allow that go? Again on the financial aspect of things, Doncic was eligible to sign about $345 million max extension, which would have been a lot of burden on Mavericks' accounts in terms of overshooting the salary cap, which means they will be paying some amount of luxury tax, which maybe they were envisaging and thinking they will not be able to pay. And now that they've moved him over to the Lakers, Doncic cannot get that max contract again, because he's got to forfeit it. And now, getting the Anthony Davis space, that is also helping their salary cap again. But then, wondering how this is going to translate on the court when both guys get to play. But breaking LeBron James and Davis was something I didn't envisage. Another transfer that shocked me was DeAndre Fox from Sacramento Kings. I thought Kings were beginning to come into their own. When Mike Brown went there last season, he did so with the team, but unfortunately this season wasn't quite it. It was sacked, and then a new coach was brought on board. You were beginning to see some sort of understanding between DeAndre Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Also with Harvey Barnes at some point, they broke that team, but Sabonis was still going well with Fox. And now the moment Fox started that he was going to request for a trade, now moving to San Antonio Spurs.
Hey. Okay. So we'll see if we can get back to Blessing, because while all of this was happening for Real Madrid handle, they were also busy tweeting about the NBA, and of course,
I think
one of theirs.
It was just one thing that was shocking to many. Just like in football, we have rumors, we have all of that. But it happened to be that in that game, in that transfer, rumors didn't have it, and then it just came that was the news that we all woke up to. That's on Saturday, discussing about that the NBA transfers. But for me, I will look at that transfer and also pick it from the angle of a great deal talking about the Lakers getting that Luka Doncic, that's at the age of 25. He is top 5 ballers. Well, we'll talk about the world of basketball. And then you look at Davis, who has spent 13 years also. That's talking about the NBA. Has spent 13 years in the NBA. He's going to be aged 32. And then you say, okay, what is next also for these guys? Probably it's a good deal. For me, in my own books, it's a good deal for both sides.
Okay.
That's presently. But on the long run, who is going to benefit the most? I think the person that is going to benefit from this the most happens to be the Lakers, where they've gotten their hands on a man who can last them for the coming years. We'll talk about NBA. And if he can guide them also to that's another conference finals and maybe winning the NBA championship.
All right, so let's wrap up the show. Come back to some football news. This time we go talk about the NBFL. SAMIES Shooting Stars, they're getting closer to a continental place. Even though within the league might be a bit tough when you see Bremen Stars beat Sunshines by 2-1 and Shooting Stars got a point in Jos against Plateau United. Continental is knocking on the door, right?
Continental is knocking on the door. We still have a game in hand, even though we are still 8 points behind the Remo Stars. But a lot of people will say the game yesterday was a game we didn't lose. But I was not really happy with the way that game went. We scored in the 75th minute thereabout, and then there was an equalizer in the 76th minute. For a side who has kept 6 clean sheets on a row, or 7 on a row. That shouldn't have been the case for us. So we should have kept a clean sheet also in that encounter. But it's a good one. We didn't lose on the road once again. And you look at the last time Shooting Stars lost away from home, it's actually been a running of, let's say, 4 games.
All right, so let's go check what's happening in SAMIES quickly and see what the results are, because I know there are games in the MPFL this afternoon. There's a 3 p.m. kickoff game between Lobby Stars and Enyimba of Aba, and of course the other games going on as we speak. So what's the latest from that game?
Well, Enyimba, who lost last weekend, are presently on the front foot against Lobby Stars, 1-0. Iyekpemwe was the goal scorer. Ifeanyi is the one that scored that goal. And for Stanley Eguma, I hope that his side sees off this victory just ahead of the game set to go now by 4 p.m.
All right, so from now. Yeah, so that's halftime in Bauchi. Alliance, that game is going on in Bauchi, not in Makurdi. But Lobby Stars away from home this time. They're losing to Enyimba of Aba by 1-0. Insurance of Benin, before we play, the next few minutes we play against Katsina United. Rangers International will host the Ikorodu City. And of course, the last game there will see Kwara United against Academy Warriors. So Enyimba, they lead by 1-0. When we come on Tuesday morning, 7:45, we should tell you the full time of that game, and of course the other 3 games going down. Later tonight in London, Chelsea will play against West Ham, and in Spain, Girona will be up against Las Palmas. In Italy, Cagliari will play against Lazio. And that will be it in terms of European top 5 football for Monday night. We'll see you guys again when we come. That will be Tuesday, 7:45. But don't forget, once we're out of here, the news coming up for 4. Home run with Denike and Kenny from 4:15 to 5. Krista will be here 5 to 6 for 𝐒𝐒𝐒. That will be here for WhatsApp Niger between 6 to 7. Keep it right here, 94.9 32 FM.